Tonight on The Breakdown, Brodie Retallick's back from Japan and joins us from his home in Napier. Bryce Heem is in the studio ahead of the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman final. Black Fern's legend Anna Richards is here with a big announcement for the Farah Palmer Cup. And we have got prizes galore, tickets and jerseys to give away.
Kia ora koutou katoa, hello and welcome to The Breakdown. Sky Super Rugby Trans-Tasman is down to 2, and as expected the race came down to points differential. With the Crusaders coming up short across the Tasman, the Blues will host the Highlanders at Eden Park on Saturday night. I tell you what, it was tense, it was tight, but I tell you what, we're excited here because hence I'm in my Highlanders jersey, hands in our Highlanders jersey, and here are the enemy right here. Well, the enemy for us tonight, Sir John Kerwin and Mills Muliaina. Do you feel comfortable first, Mills? Well and truly, are you on this bandwagon?
I'll tell you what, I feel comfortable, right? Because I picked the Highlanders to win last week. You guys didn't. So
whoa. We thought it was possible.
I wanted this final.
OK, let's focus on that for a start then. To go into Canberra and beat the Brumbies hand. Like, I don't know about you. I wasn't sure they could win by as much as they did, but that was an impressive performance.
Yeah, really dominant in that second half. And deserved finalists. Looking forward to it.
Deserved finalists at Eden Park. Look, it was a remarkable performance for me. JK, I know most of your mind was at Eden Park, but when we saw this, I think this is something special. And of course, this is how the weekend unfolded. The Hurricanes were on top, and then of course the Highlanders, the Crusaders had their chances.
And that performance is exactly why the Blues are underdogs this week at home. And I tell you why we're underdogs is what I've heard all week. Oh, you're going to shit yourselves in the second half. And what about the second half against the Force? And we've got Aaron Smith. So we're actually underdogs.
But you've just said that. I don't know anyone who said that.
You said that the whole time. We are underdogs this week, and I love being an underdog.
OK, then how confident are you then, Mills? The fact that this team, look, there was 20 minutes on the weekend they'll look at after half-time, but they were fantastic in the first 40. When you think about it, how does it look for you?
I think that lull in the second half has probably worked in the Blues' favour in terms of, they didn't have everything perfect. Outstanding start. Perfect beginning to the game is what they want. The intensity was there. But I just think they're too strong. If you look on paper, player for player, all bar Aaron Smith, I suppose, right?
Are you buying this, Hannah? Are you buying this?
I'm going to say JK's spot on. I'm going to say that the Highlanders are definitely the favourites. Any team that can take the pressure and own it on finals day.
OK.
Yeah. Went to Brumbies, went to the Brumbies.
That's not what
they won.
He stuck you in.
So we'll see where JK is in about 45 minutes. Let's see exactly where he gets to. How did it all play out? Let's have a look at the table. At the end of the day, we knew that it was going to come down to points differential. 3 teams ended up on top. Look, it was close, wasn't it? 119, 103, 97. All 3 teams ended up with 23 points, 5 for 5. Impressive from all 3 sides. Here's the critical thing for me, though. Let's have a look at how those points differentials came about. Points for and against the Blues. They had the best defence out of the 3. The Crusaders conceded, on average, over 26 points a game. In the end, they scored more tries than anybody else. They had their opportunities on the weekend. But, Hannah, is that probably the biggest surprise? The fact that Scott Robinson's looking at his team's performance and going, you know what, we probably don't deserve to be there given what we conceded?
Yeah, I think so. And it's probably something to do with them chasing the game, trying to get points, opens up the defence a little bit more, puts them under pressure when they're attacking, opens some gaps on defence. I think that's the key to it.
There is a bit of a sense, though. I think the appetite for this game, JK, the fact that the Blues playing the Highlanders, both teams have turned pretty much their Super Rugby Aotearoa seasons around. Both got disappointments through it. I think there is an appetite for this, to see someone different play on the big stage.
Yeah, look, and I think when you look at the Crusaders, I think Hannah's right. Like, chasing the game, they had to play a different type of football, and that's not like they grind it down, try and score tight tries, so they did have to play a different game, and I think they just got a little bit loose on defence. But I think it's a great opportunity for the Blues and the Highlanders. It's going to be a spectacle. There is a sense of inevitability when you do play the Crusaders, and they've been in 100 million finals, so they know how to win finals, where although the Blues are the underdogs, the Highlanders have been in the final more recently.
How many times do you think you can say it in the show?
About 47.
OK, we'll see. We'll keep counting. But
Mills, think about it. This is serious. Like, playing finals is a special game on itself. Yeah. So, the Highlanders have been the team to play most recently. It's been 18 years since the Blues have been in a final.
Yeah, and look, I think there were some things that were remarkable about this season. This is the last time the Blues of the Highlanders. They've only won one title, a remarkable performance. That's definitely a try. We don't need to look at that again. Aaron Smith and his performance as well. You know, is he the most influential player in New Zealand right now, Hannah?
Yeah, how good is he? Just his ability to run the game, the speed at which he plays, and his ability to play right on the advantage line makes it pretty difficult for defences.
And he's playing some serious minutes, Mills. I mean, you think about what he's gone through this season, but they needed someone to step up. Tony Brown goes offshore, but they seem to have maximised their talent.
Oh, they certainly have. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of injuries and some fairly young guys, you know, out of position as well. You know, Tompkinson's, he played on the wing. And when you think about it, you know, the style that they've been playing, the pressure they're constantly under, you know, week in, week out, where they are the sort of underdogs, the experience they have in terms of one-off matches.
They are the underdogs. Just say that again.
Well, in terms of one-off matches, you know, they've probably got the more experience in terms of going into a match and knowing what that looks about. Because when it comes to a final, everything goes out the window in terms of, I suppose, what you come into it. You know, it's all based on one game. And so if there's one team out of the Blues that's sort of used to playing that sort of style, I'd say it'd be the Highlanders, because they do it sort of week in, week out. They love that underdog tag.
I think Aaron Smith has actually taken another step in a new direction. And I think, you know, when players get a little bit older, they either go, I want to go offshore, or get a little bit bored, or they go, I want to be the best ever and keep working on his game. Looks like he's taken his game to the next level. And I think, you know, if the Blues, although we're underdogs, are going to win on the weekend, which I think we will, we're going to have to shut them down. But you can't shut them down any other way than dominate up front. So you've got to dominate up front, not get him that front foot ball, possibly glue his mouth guard to the bottom of his mouth so he can't influence the ref, and a few other tricks.
All right, I might give you some evidence to support what you're saying, because let's talk about the team that had the best campaign out of the two of them. And I think this is significant, given the way the draws played out. The fact, if you look at the way the Blues had the Rebels away, they got off to the fast start. Then they played the Waratahs. The Brumbies had been on tour in New Zealand. The Reds away, they managed to sneak a win there. And then the Force at home. So you think about that. They've had 3 home games. What did the Highlanders have to do? They had to take on the champions in round 1. Outstanding. Then they had to travel to Perth, right, come home. But guess what? No, we're going to play the Rebels away. Then we'll play the Waratahs, we'll come back home. And guess what? We'll go away again. So to me, I look at that performance from the Highlanders, Hannah, in terms of the way their season and the challenges way through. That's actually probably a more impressive resume of what they've had to go through. Yeah,
100%. And chuck in the amount of injuries they've had also. It's really impressive.
That's why you're favourites.
Oh, hold on.
Take that.
But the TAB says you're paying $1.36 and the Highlanders are paying $2.95. It generally means something different. So let's balance that up, though, right?
But you've got to think about it. I mean, jokes aside, a final is a final, right? On the Blues side, we've got some fantastic All Blacks emerging. And then on the other side, you've got players that have actually done exactly what you've said. So I just think it's going to be an outstanding... No one knows. You sort of know what the Crusaders are going to bring, but we don't know what these two sides are going to bring after playing Australian sides in a final.
And what type of final are you expecting, Hannah, given what we've just been through against these Australian sides, where it has been high-scoring affairs? We know what Super Rugby Aotearoa delivered. Are we going back to that, or are we seeing a high-scoring affair again? Yeah,
it'll be interesting, won't it? I think you've almost got to change your game plan. You've got to go back to territory and playing the game in the first half. I don't think it's going to open up in the second half like it has been in the Australian games.
And that's significant change for the Blues. Zahn Sullivan going to fullback. They have certainly tactically changed that mindset. And you saw through all of these games, they ended up on top. The first 20 or 30 minutes, Mills, they played a lot of territory, got their forwards going to work. Does that work against the Highlanders?
Oh, I think it could possibly do that, because I think they're a lot more clinical. I think they've got their game plan together. They all seem like everyone understands what their game plan is. But on the other flip side of that too, they're defensive. It's the line speed that they're getting and the tackling that they're making, and also the guys getting back up on their feet to then have a spread of 14 guys on the field when there's no one in the ruck. I've been really impressed with that. So I think they've really gone away after Super Rugby Aotearoa. They've thought about their game, and they've actually had it, collectively come together and said, well, this is what we're going. They just seem more clinical and have a lot more buy-in in terms of what they're doing.
It does, for me, though, have a bit of a feel, though, for the Highlanders, like 2015, where they've certainly started to believe. They've got themselves to this point, and that went a long way to them having success against the Hurricanes in Wellington. Well, the Blues have had a number of stars in 2021, but one of theirs wasn't even contracted at the start of the season. Bryce Heem has been a revelation on the wing for the sides.
Good, taken down by Heem, only had eyes for the ball. Tapped along the line, and the finish from Bryce Heem. 3 last week and tonight.
They bring Heem in from the far wing, and he looks dangerous. Floating one over the top. Here's Bryce Heem. Oh, he's big, he's strong, and he's over.
Some sort of season for you, Bryce. Welcome to the show. You're listening to all of the stuff we're talking about here. Are you sitting over there and laughing at the attitudes of the guys, the fact that there's obviously a little bit of tension between us from time to time? Do you believe what JK's talking about? Are you underdogs going in?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I guess last time the Blues won a championship was, like you said, JK, 18 years ago, and I'm pretty sure there were people thinking that we were going to crumble last week, and I'd say that we're underdogs.
So circumstances for you in particular, let's talk about that. Look, you're playing overseas, then you come home and you're uncontracted. I mean, has this whole season become a surprise, this whole experience, and how have you enjoyed it? Yeah,
it has really. I don't know if you guys know, I came home for family reasons, so didn't have a contract, and so I had no idea that things were going to play out like this, and and having a final this week, who knew that was going to happen as well.
Outstanding season, and the thing that we've sort of noticed is you've brought a bit of leadership as well. I mean, you've come in late, but have you been sort of seen as that, as a bit of a leader and helping some of the younger backs out?
Definitely been seen as an older guy. But as a leader, I'm not too sure. I guess for me, I've always sort of tried to lead by the way I play. And I guess maybe I've done that.
How have you found the intensity? Obviously, you've come back, no contract, but you've been overseas in England and then to France. Forward-orientated game, and then you've come here and it's sort of quite open, but also the skill aspect as well. How have you sort of tried to adapt to that aspect of the game?
Yeah, probably had to get a bit fitter. Sorry. The skill level of the teams in New Zealand is so high, and which makes the game a lot faster. So definitely getting a bit fitter and probably up in my skill level as well.
Did you have to go back to club rugby to do that? I mean, would have had limited time to do that, hadn't you?
Yeah, limited time. I guess I was playing in France up until I left, and then I had to do my 2 weeks in MIQ and whatnot, so it was basically just on the training field.
Nice.
Does your approach change this week, playing a New Zealand team and not an Aussie team that you've been playing for the last 5 weeks?
No, I don't think so. I think, we've won the games we have playing the way that we have, and I think for this final, it can't be any different for us.
OK, let's talk about the weekend. I'm going to talk about it 20 minutes after half-time, because it's one of those things. Mills talked about it being a positive thing. You come together on a Monday, done a bit of recovery yesterday. What were the sort of things you talked about today in response to that performance on the weekend? Because even interviewing everyone afterwards, there was a sense of frustration because you probably didn't deliver the performance you needed to. What did you guys discuss on day one of what's a pretty crucial week?
Yeah, I guess it was frustrating, I guess, because we did do so well in that first half, and then, the second half was what it was. But I think, the main point was probably just to focus on what we did do well and make sure that we bring that for 80 minutes.
Rieko Ioane's been improving all year. Being outside him, have you noticed him starting to adapt a whole lot better to centre play?
Yeah, I think so. He's quite a big leader within our Blues environment, and I think that shows on the field as well. And yeah, especially in the midfield, I think he's come leaps and bounds. Rieko is just coming through the ranks when I left New Zealand, and to see him, playing the way he is now, it's awesome.
How have you found that? I mean, you talk about a little bit, I'd say more experienced, especially for the back three department. But you've got a guy like Zane Sullivan, 20 years old, and he's out there and he's directing play. How's his preparation? How's his sort of mindset going into this? He started majority of the games.
Yeah, geez, I think if I was to put myself in his shoes at 20 years old, I think I'd, probably crumbled a little bit. But man, he is so relaxed and so calm. He's been impressive in my opinion. Yeah.
You talk about being one of the older guys, and everyone talks about it being a young man's game. Do you believe that? I mean, you're seeing guys, Richard Kahui, coming back into these competitions and performing really, really well. And the way professionalism has gone, and the fact of recovery and looking after yourselves and your body, nutrition, do you think maybe people can push the boat out a little bit longer in New Zealand, and maybe post playing overseas could come back and perform at a high level like a lot of guys are?
Yeah, 100%. I guess I guess you can be quite lucky in terms of injuries and things like that, which I have been. And I guess there's so much science now available as well. And I guess for me as a bit of an older player now, I think it's just, like you said, recovery is just crucial to be able to keep going and keep performing week in, week out.
Do you see the disciplines from the young guys that you've got?
I see it in them, yeah, I do actually, because I wasn't that good when I was that young. And, there's been a lot of change.
And Toulon was a good experience. You were with Ma, obviously you came in late, and
yeah.
It's very different over there. Did you enjoy it, the lifestyle?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. It was, it was an awesome experience. Me and my wife, we always wanted to go travelling, and rugby's a great excuse to go and do that, or a great reason to go do it. And especially to go live in the south of France. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
Have you managed to get yourself another contract? I know you got a final this week, mate, but have the Blues put a contract in front of you for next year, man? Here's your plug now. Come on, mate.
Yeah, come on, sign me up.
Honestly, do you want to stay? I mean, have you thought about it? Have you even considered it? Do you know, is there an NPC in front of you, or is it you're getting through this weekend and you're reassessing?
Yeah, no, I'm hanging around for NPC. Haven't signed anything as of yet for next season, but I would like to stay. I'm enjoying my rugby, and it's awesome just to be back home after being away for nearly 6 years and be with family and friends. And it's pretty special what's going on in New Zealand at the moment in terms of COVID and whatnot, because overseas is just a bit nuts, and we're pretty lucky here, pretty privileged. Just
lastly then, how big would it be for you to see a big crowd at Eden Park this weekend, and how much of a difference could it make?
Oh, it'd be huge. It'd be our 16th man, I guess, on the field. And in saying that, we've got the Blues have actually got 4 platinum passes to give away.
You're recruiting. You realise Highlanders fans can get those. You can't just give them to Auckland fans and Blues fans. That's just, don't you shake your head. It's great that you're giving those away. I'm expecting big things in terms of the crowd. I'd say this: if you are going, please get to the game early. Get to your seats. Get your food, your drink, turn up an hour before the game. I was out there the weekend and people are queuing up and missing time. We're going to give away these jerseys. They're going to be signed. What you do have to get the tickets, to get the tickets and also to be part of the jerseys, which team did Bryce Heem play for in France? And also, we want to find out who was one of the Blues players who scored a try the last time they were in a final. So you'll have to go way...
What was that laugh?
Nothing. It's way back, JK. And you
That's
weren't even playing.
Cynical.
You weren't even... It's not cynical. Bryce, thank you so much. They'll say good luck to you on the weekend. I'll say play well. How about that? Thank you so much. Ricky, come on in, Ricky.
Hello.
Take us around the world.
All right, the only neutral observer in the room today. So let's get around the world with All Blacks great Jerome Kaino's aim of winning another French rugby title will collide with former Hurricanes wing Ben Lamb and ex-Chiefs prop Ben Tamiafuna in the top 14 semi-finals. Lamb started on the left wing in Bordeaux Beglay's 25-16 quarter-final victory over Clermont, with Tamiafuna coming off the bench. They will visit Kaino's round-robin winners Toulouse next Monday. Top referee Nigel Owens has blasted the captain's call, and he reckons games are taking too long. The challenge and a 15-minute orange card for high tackles are being trialled in the Pro 14 Rainbow Cup. Owens thinks both should be scrapped, however. Dave Rennie has named 11 uncapped players in the 38-strong Wallabies squad to play 3 tests against France. It includes 12 Brumbies, 9 each from the Reds and the Rebels, 6 from the winless Waratahs and 2 from the Western Force. Of course, Michael Hooper coming back from Japan to captain them. And you'll also notice Lockie Swinton's name in there. Rennie says he will keep the hot-headed Swinton in the squad even if he is banned for this red card against the Chiefs. Rennie reckons Swinton brings a competitive edge, although that can be hard to do if you're banned. Anyway, former All Blacks midfielder Malakai Fekitoa will play sevens for Tonga at the Olympic qualifying tournament. It opens the door for him to re-qualify for Tonga and play at the World Cup in France. The former Auckland and Highlanders player was born in Tonga. He played sevens for the Kingdom as a 17-year-old. He played the last of his 24 tests for New Zealand against the Lions 4 years ago. Now, Players can switch via the Olympics, provided they have a valid passport and they haven't played for their first team for 3 years, which, of course, Fekitoa has not done for the All Blacks. So, team, it's a very interesting move. Opens up the prospect of perhaps a few others. Lima Sopoaga, Charles Piutau. There's a few names out there.
And I would say, and I'm interested in your thoughts, team, is this a place World Rugby should look at and go, look, if there's a loophole, maybe we need to look a bit further than that. And if New Zealand Rugby can possibly do something, is this where they maybe should be better campaigning?
Yeah, I think so. Just finding the time and the schedule right, and that's a difficult thing. I'm sure there'd be more trying to play in the Olympics and through the Sevens Avenue if they could actually get time off from their professional contracts.
I think it would be great, JK. You've talked about this. We need to find a way for this to happen.
Well, it's pretty easy. Scotland and Ireland need to vote for it because they seem to be the ones that are scared of the Pacific Island teams getting stronger. But I think it's fantastic. I don't know why we wouldn't let Stephen Luatua play for Samoa and Charles Piutau to go back for Tonga, because we need our game to continue to grow and be competitive. And everyone's talking about the Pacifica and how we need to help them. This is a great way to help them.
I can't wait to see Malakai Fekitoa back on the international stage once again.
Yeah, and putting my Sevens hat on, I think it's great for Sevens as well, because that's going to need to be re-established after COVID, the World Series and Sevens to reboost itself again anyway. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. Speaking of keeping an eye on things, quiz question. Now, I've left the piece of paper lying around a little bit. I'm pretty sure Jess had a look.
I have not.
But I'm backing JK in this week, although, Bryce, I think you could get this one too.
We're underdogs.
Are you underdog here as well? You're the underdog in the trivia question.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
The trivia question this week, I want you to name the Blues backline that played in the final in 2003. Blues backline that played in the final in 2003. Now, we're going to head to the break soon, so if you
better get this one right.
Really better get this one right.
Better get this one right.
You might need some help, but there will be some help coming if you are observant. So stay with us while the crew try and figure this out. After the break, we're going to have a look at some All Black selections, and we're going to catch up with returning All Black Brodie Retallick.
So Mark Hammett, this time it's straight up around Thorne. They work to move nicely to Hammett. He's got a man on the inside, Hammett. They join him in, and Hammett to the line. There's the first try. Close to the touchline. Oh, there's a chance here for Mark Hammett. Tidy, but now it comes for Gibson. And very nearly again. Now Muliaina frees it up. Here's a chance. Gear. He's got Howlett on the inside. And Doug Howlett. Having a real go here with about 4 metres to go. To the line. And the try scored. Daniel Braid. Here's Marshall. Fires the pass. Here's the try. Is it Shorty? Yes. They're out of the blocks very quickly, the Crusaders. He's run to the touchline. The game is over. The Blues have won the Super 12 title in 2003.
Welcome back to the breakdown. We asked the crew the trivia question. Obviously, we're building up to the Blues being in a final for the first time in a while this weekend. The trivia question was to name the Blues backline in the final in 2003. Have we agreed on who the centre was?
Well, apparently it was him, but he tried to put Rico Gear in the centre.
Just trying to
Trying to put us off track.
Does anyone feel like they've got it?
Yeah, I have.
All right, JK, come on.
There we go. Howlett, Rico Gear, Joe Rokotoko, Mills, Spencer.
None of you got the second five, have you? Have any of you got the second five? Oh, hang on, Jeff, look, you look.
Oh, you got
Gibson at halfback,
wasn't it?
Jeff Wilson, give me your team. Give me the Blues backline, the whole thing.
Tuitupu?
Whole backline.
Oh, the whole backline.
Yeah.
David Gibson, Carlos Spencer, Sam Tuitupu, he was at centre, Joe Rocks, Rico Gear and Doug Howlett.
Well done.
Well, it was all on the video.
I got it.
No, you didn't get the 12.
You didn't get the 12 and you didn't get Dave Gibson either.
There they are. Look, there we go. Mills at 13.
I didn't get 12.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, I could have got a better
We
photo.
could have got a better photo.
Not one of the great photos of Mills, so
that is some sort of
backline. That's a hell of a backline.
That is some sort of backline. I'll tell you what, and that's probably why
This week's not bad.
Oh, we shouldn't forget, in 7 days' time, and it's going to be announced live on The Breakdown, and it's going to be live from the All Blacks experience in town. We're going to name our first All Black squad for 2021. Not us. Of course, New Zealand Rugby are going to do that, and we're looking forward to seeing how many they put together and who it's going to be. One of those is a returning All Black from Japan, and I suppose he's excited. We'll talk to Brodie Retallick right now. He's in Napier. He's come out of MIQ. He's back in New Zealand. Mate, well, welcome home. You're looking forward to, I suppose, pulling the boots on, but have you enjoyed spending a little bit of time back in Napier? And I hear today was a very special day.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be back in New Zealand. Yeah, we got it pretty good here in terms of COVID. There's a few restrictions of us in Japan and different things. And even coming back out of MIQ, just walking around without a face mask on, felt a little bit weird for a couple of days. But yeah, it's exciting to be back and waiting to see if I get named, obviously, next week. And looking forward to getting stuck into New Zealand rugby again.
Konbanwa, Brodie-san, genki desu ka?
Genki desu.
Oh, nice.
There he goes.
Now, they said you've just been eating raw fish, so you're 6 kilos down. Is that the truth? And if so, is that a bit of a worry for you coming straight back into test season?
Yeah, I think old Smithy put it in the papers that I was down to 117 kgs or something like that, which was not quite true. I didn't quite get that light. Yeah, I guess obviously Japanese rugby isn't quite as physical as Super Rugby or Test Rugby, so you can get away with being a little bit lighter. I've been working pretty hard the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks of putting some weight back on and conditioning myself to get back and hopefully play Test Rugby. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. I feel like I can get around the paddock a lot better, a little bit lighter, but getting that balance of the two is probably going to be the key.
Hey Brodie, obviously in Japan over some pretty interesting times. Did you have a good experience and the family enjoy your time over there?
Yeah, it was a little bit different this season. We had a few restrictions put on us, understandably. Obviously, if we got COVID within the team, we were out for 2 weeks. So we would have loved to do a bit more travel of Japan, which we didn't get to. But on the whole, yeah, we loved the experience, the people, the culture. And it was just really refreshing to be in a different environment for a while and see how the Japanese do it. And yeah, on the whole, we loved it, and it was great for the family and a whole lot of different reasons.
Guys, it's great to see you back, and I love your modesty, mate. I hope you get picked in this All Black team as well, mate. But saying that, I mean, it would have been difficult over there. I mean, you went over there, you played a lot of rugby for the All Blacks and for the Chiefs. Having COVID, was it a little bit of a blessing in disguise in terms of you've now been able to have a little bit of a rest as well over there during this sort of the pandemic?
Yeah, it was. I think in the first season over there after the World Cup, we only played for 5 games, and then normally the off season for the Japan season is about 3 months, but we actually ended up spending about 7 months back in New Zealand. So it was pretty much just did no training for about 2.5 months, and then have gone hard ever since. So yeah, I'm hoping to reap some rewards out of that, and the body's in a good spot. It's had plenty of time to rest and do all that. So yeah, I hope from the next pushing on for the next couple of years, I'm going to reap the rewards of having that decent break and also a good pre-season to get the body conditioned.
Have you had any contact with the coaches and management of the All Blacks over while you've been away? Just to keep in contact, just I suppose to keep tabs on how you are feeling and how you are doing?
Yeah, not too much. I've talked to Fozzie once since I've been back in New Zealand, and Nick Gill, the conditioning trainer, strength and conditioning trainer, has been in touch to see how it's going. Could be a bit of a program, but yeah, that's about it so far.
I mean, you and Bowden are certainly going to be in the test side, although obviously I'm not the selector. But do you think it's wise coming straight back into a starting lineup, or would you actually prefer to get your feet on the ground a wee bit, get into some contact, get used to New Zealand rugby again, or you'd be confident either way?
Yeah, it's probably a good question. Like it's going to be a completely different level, being back in the test arena. Yeah, I'd be comfortable if I got put back into starting, but at the same time, I realise that being out of New Zealand, it's been different, and I've got to earn my spot. So yeah, I'm comfortable either way. It is going to be a little bit odd coming back in and getting used to it, but yeah, I guess if I feel like I can and obviously I earn my spot, then there's no reason why I'm not going to back myself.
Guys, you spoke about the physicality in Japan. I mean, how difficult was that for you? I mean, you love going to rucks and getting hurting people and getting hit yourself, but then you've come up against guys that, you know, the physical sort of side of it wasn't that big. And also on the flip side of that, when you come back, how have you sort of, you know, how are you going to try and adapt to that to get to that intensity, because it's totally different?
Yeah, that's right. I still tried to have the same intent, and I actually probably shouldn't say this, but I experienced my first red card in Japan in the pre-season game for a big hit. It was debatable, I thought, but yeah, I guess that's really the hardest part. Is obviously, you know, in my mind, I'm still trying to be physical, and I've worked hard at my technique. Obviously, the players over there are a lot smaller, so working on the body height, and yeah, I think that'll be the area that'll be the main focus in the next few weeks anyway.
We're excited to have you back. I think every decision is debatable, but JK certainly does. Every decision that's ever been made. But, like, it's great to have you with us. We saw how refreshed and how impressive Sam Whitelock has been since he has come back from his sojourn overseas. So, mate, look after yourself. Can't wait to see you back out there. I'm pretty sure in 7 days' time we'll see your name read out. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks a lot for having me.
I think there's a little bit of a sense of relief, I think, for me, that he's back. You know, it gives us something, an experience. We know how good and how great he has been as an All Black. It'd be nice to think that by the end of this season, he's getting close back to that form, but we see everyone that seems to come back now. They seem to be refreshed and ready to go. Yeah,
I think so. And 2 years out from a World Cup, really important that he's had a break and he feels refreshed and he comes back and he's actually excited about playing in New Zealand again. Let's talk about the squad then, JK. The fact that Ian Foster and Grant Fox and his team, John Plumtree, they had the benefit of a season last year of coming together. There are no guarantees. They've got work to do, performances, a couple of back-to-back losses last year. You know, so all of a sudden, is there an element of pressure? Maybe not pressure, Tonga, Fiji, but this first selection. And is the big question mark how they might play?
Yeah, I think they need to start thinking about, I mean, you haven't got a long-term contract, but you've got to start thinking about the World Cup. I think we don't have a lot of test matches. I mean, I think, you know, with Brodie coming back and Sam playing the way he is, we have world-class locks. What do? You know, we need a third lock, Scott, Barrett. You know, what are you going to do around some of your bench and some of your fringes seems to be the bigger question for me. Is there going to be some bolters? I'm obviously hoping that Robinson from the Blues will get in because I think he can cover 6 and lock. So what are you going to do now to build your squad? But, you know, we talk about it all the time, don't we? It's not just your 15 anymore. What are you going to do with the bench? Where are you going to put Bowden? What are you going to do? So there's a lot of intrigue in this, and I'm quite excited about the team. I don't think the team is going to throw up too many new players. Well,
look, we know we've lost Sam Cane, so there's going to be a new captain who's going to get that responsibility, Mills, but also the fact that, look, Ardie Savea, he did limp off on the weekend. I'm hopeful that he comes through and he's fine to play, but if he's not, no Sam Cane, no Ardie Savea. We know Dalton Papali'i, but he's under a little bit of an injury cloud. He's been banged up a little bit. So is there room for players, some players that we haven't seen before in this squad?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to actually to see. I mean, I think they took a pretty big squad over to Aussie last year as well. So is there going to be any bolters? I'm not sure there will be. You know, when you lose those sort of guys, you know, the Sam Canes, Ardie Saveas, I think they'll still be all right. I mean, there's a lot of leadership, you know, around the whole team in terms of the squad and different positions that they can cover that sort of for those guys being out. I'm more looking forward to the way they play. You know, are they going to take the same sort of mentality that most of our Super Rugby teams have played here in New Zealand in the way they've done, or are they going to try and change things up? Brodie and also Moonga, you know, what are they going to do? Are they going to play dual maker roles? Because in the two very good players. So what is Ian Foster? What has he gone away and thought about in his team in terms of the way we actually play the game? Are we going to show something different? So then the likes of Aussie don't adapt, you know, too fast, because they have, you know, in the Trans-Tasman, those teams are really starting to adapt. So are they going to take the same approach as what our Super Rugby teams have, or throw something totally different? And do they have the opportunity now to be able to do that in those first, you know, 3 or so test matches, which we should win quite comfortably, Hannah?
Yeah, I think so. And look, they took a number of new players last year, 7 new caps last year, and a number that didn't get a lot of test match rugby. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity to play those players, give them some game time, and actually get some consistency through the 15.
Because in some ways, JK, how much can you read into the last 5 weeks in terms of form when you're selecting your team, which, let's be honest, the focus surely is going to be on the Rugby Championship. The fact that we'll be taking on South Africa on the back of playing the Lions. Argentina, when they came in fresh, were very, very good last year. Is more attention, not so much, we'll put out a quality side, but more importantly, with no Ngani Laumapi in the midfield, he's heading offshore, unless they decide to pick him, which I can't see that happening. Does that mean if you're going down a David Havili path, there's a different tactical approach to the game?
Well, I think there's a different tactical approach straight away by us letting Ngani Laumapi go, because it's probably the first time for I don't know how long that we haven't had someone like Ma'a or someone like Ngani who can get us over the advantage line with brute strength, right? So we're not going to look like we're going to have that. So we're going to have a little bit of a different sort of backline look, I feel. I think Mills is right. You know, the All Black selectors and coaches do have the opportunity to say, we want to play like this and we'll pick accordingly. And so I think that's probably intriguing for me. I think loose forward is a real issue. You know, I think that I was sort of, when Sam got injured, unfortunately, I thought, well, this is going to be Artie's opportunity to get out there and go for it.
Now, we don't know he's not going to be available. What I'm saying is the fact he just took another knock on the weekend, and it's a what if, right? That's what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, well, that's right. But when you think about it, normally we've got 100 of them, right? And you're sort of going, oh, Hardy's not going to be there. It might not be. Let's hope he is. But all of a sudden we're going, because the game is changing a wee bit. You know, we don't have, you know, talking about Bowden playing fullback. Anna, you said that a couple of weeks ago. You know, we've got guys are now playing 6, 7 and 8. And so the game is changing quite a bit. For me, it's Mills is onto it. How are we going to play and what are we going to bring new? And do we bring it this year or do we wait for a little bit closer to the World Cup?
Do we think... You know, we've so often targeted the fact we need to match everybody up front. But if you think about the era, Hannah, where 2011, 2015, it was our way that we played the game, how we used the ball. Is that something that we've tried that we can't succeed with? Or do we go back to that and go, that's our plan A?
Yeah, it'd be interesting what they test through these test matches, right, to get right for when they come up against the South Africas and the Argentinas. I think it'll be a mixture of both. I think tactically we actually need to play that tactical game. We haven't been playing a lot of it through against the Australian team, so I think we actually need to go back to that and start playing some controlled rugby.
Do you agree, Mills, with the fact that, you know, like it's one of those things, it's a hard one, right? Because we've got so much mobility, we've got so much versatility, that selection policy around, and JK talks about it all the time, specialists versus that guys who can play multiple positions.
It's been the hallmark of our game, really, up front, making sure you have those specialists that get it right. Everything's been built, our whole game in New Zealand's been built around our forward pack and that go-forward ball, and then you add a bit of speed and skill, because there's no doubting that our skill level here is a lot better than anywhere across the world, you know, and that's my opinion. But also, I think what you've just mentioned, the ability, and I was just going to say boring rugby, but I like the way you just sort of put it, that sort of traditional, making sure we get down there, be nice and composed. I think that's where we've often struggled, that we want to open the game up and feel that we need to do that in big test matches when it's really close, when in actual fact, you know, let's be nice and patient. So perhaps this is now a vehicle for them to trial that in these first 3 weeks before we get to the unknown, because South Africa is actually unknown. We haven't seen them for a couple of years, so they could be totally different.
Absolutely. All of them, all the selectors and coaches, they were in Wellington watching the Hurricanes game. I'm sure they were in Auckland watching that game as well. It's all in front of them over the next 7 days, putting together their squad. That's, of course, at the elite level. Every weekend, Ricky, club rugby continues to shine everywhere across the country.
Yep, we've got a couple of rippers this week for you as well. A first half hat-trick of tries by 19-year-old right wing Sage Shaw-Tate set up University's 48-28 win against Suburbs in Auckland club rugby. In Hamilton, Fraser Tech beat neighbours Hamilton Old Boys 39-21. Staying in the Waikato, Aotearoa celebrated their 125th Jubilee, but it was this try from Hautapu's Kaya Hongara that caught the eye. Step, step, step. There's a bit of an offload in here. Dummy. Gives and then go again, get it back and score it yourself, son. There you go. Step, step.
Go. Where's the give and go gone? Give it, Mills, back up, get it back, JK. That's you know, mate. Don't take the tackle. What's that? What am I saying? No, I'll tuck her over there.
Under the arm, right, we're away.
Crowbar.
On the East Coast, though, Tokararangi made it 2 wins in 2 days with a 26-20 win over Hicks Bay. So that was on Sunday, a rescheduled match. They played on the Saturday and they beat Te Hiro Victory 14-13. In in Wellington, the Parramatta Plimerton Rugby Football Club women's team beat Pornicky 54-5 on Kilbirnie Park on Saturday. Kahurangi etched its name on the Nelson Club Rugby Trophy for the first time, cementing its place in the top of the Tasman Trophy standings with a dominant 81-19 victory over Nelson. And then check out this one. This is by Nathan Johnson for Pirate Old Boys against Marist in the Southland comp.
Go the Stags. Go the Stags.
Little spin out straight up through the middle and wait for the finish. JK, you'll love it.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Good old dive, no doubting it. Wakatipu forced a few changes in the playoff picture in the Central Otago Premier Club competition. 93-7 victory over the Cavaliers at Cromwell. That result bumped Wakatipu up to second position behind the unbeaten Cromwell Goats.
The Goats.
And most importantly, it gave the Queenstowners a home quarter-final this weekend against Upper Clutha. Now, we love some of the stories that have been coming in, and here's an example of the ultimate club rugby man. Jason Judd turned out for his 500th game for the Axemen Wellington Football Club on Saturday. He's in the midst of, wait for it, his 50th consecutive season. He shows no signs of stopping, and we caught up with him for his big day.
This is the Wellington Football Club. Been playing for them since 1992 in the senior third and fourth grades at that time. And then when we all got a bit older and a bit slower, we realised there was a Prezzies grade, so we moved into this grade about 15 years or so ago. So here's the oldest guy on the team, 65. Spear hip. New hip and all. So, well, it's my 500th game for the club, and this is my 50th consecutive season of playing rugby. First game when I just turned 5, back in Shannon in early 70s. Quite a milestone, so yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Go in yellow, get the ball.
I mean, I look forward to all the games, not huge on the warm-ups, but I love the actual game itself. I suppose that's one of the things that's kept me going over the years.
Go yellow, go!
I'm about as fit as I ever get. My self-preservation genes have been pretty high over the years, so I tend to know where trouble's coming from and the like, so I've looked after myself. So.
He's always said he's very good at staying out of trouble. He's had the odd dislocated finger or something, and the odd trip to A&E, but pretty much he's looked after himself. I'm so happy for him and so touched at how much everyone's got behind and recognised his dedication and his passion for the rugby.
What I've loved about rugby, the people I played with and the teams over the years, and I mean, it's a bit corny, but the camaraderie and the spirit that the teams have played in. So we had some great teams, some great people, and it's just made it easy to stay involved. Thanks, Paraplim, for coming down. Really appreciate your help on today. It's a big milestone, something I'm really proud of, but also proud to be part of a club that gives as much as it gets.
We're the second oldest club in the country. Last year, of course, 2020, COVID hit us and our 150 celebrations were cancelled. We've got a board full of All Blacks, Junior, Maori All Blacks, Black Ferns. 5 for Feta is our latest All Black. We've got a huge history. During the 80s, we got 4 out of the 10 Jubilee Cups. Massively strong club, and then it faded over the years. Jason Judd came in the 90s and was instrumental in keeping us going during those tough years. 10 years into the club, he joined the committee. He then became treasurer, then moved on to secretary, then became chairman. He gives an enormous amount. He's one of those guys who, if you want something done, you just ring him or he will volunteer. He's also incredibly generous with his time. He's always the guy who's always there doing the work. Working bees, never miss it.
It was just awesome to see you out there. It took 500 games, and I understand that's the first time you played with your son. It doesn't matter where you go in rugby or how high honours. I don't think you can get better than that.
I've played with Juddy since I turned 40. We're at 55 now. He's the mainstay of the club and certainly of the presidents. We wouldn't have a team without him. A fantastic guy both on and off the field, very competitive, great rugby player. Even better friend.
I rang NZR and asked them how many other people had played 500 games. They couldn't tell me. And of course, that's 500 games for the senior club here. And so that's only the last 30 years. So prior to that, it's another 20 years of rugby. So how many games he's played will be close to 1,000.
I've been saying this is the last year for many a year, but I'm still enjoying it, still enjoying the mates. The body's holding together, so who knows, maybe 600, we can keep going.
This is what club rugby is. You can't survive without the Juddies. They're just so instrumental to grassroots rugby. It's 20 hours a week. I mean, who's got 20 hours a week? So, you know, you've got to have Juddies. They are just so important to the fabric of rugby.
Waikato. Is this going to be the first try? Yes, it is. Oh, wow-wee. Hands. What an athlete.
Exactly what you'd expect from a player of that quality.
Looks terrific with ball in hand. She busts through one tackle. Has she got the ball? Yes, she has. Oh, my goodness me. What a finish.
Today we at Sky are excited to confirm all 44 matches of the Farah Palmer Cup will be broadcast and streamed live this 2021 season, starting on the 16th of July. Each week, one match as well of the FPC and Bunnings NPC will be available free to air, which is great news for fans throughout Aotearoa. And Anna Richards is one of our legends of the game. What have I got here? 49 tests for the Black Ferns in the World Rugby Hall of Fame. Now you're coaching this wonderful game. Good luck with that, because I've been there and done that, like most of us have. But first and foremost, this Farah Palmer Cup, we think about the next 12 months going to a Rugby World Cup here. How important is this tournament just to kick off, I suppose, that campaign going forward?
I think it's very important. You know, a concentrated level of rugby will lead into internationals hopefully in September, November, October, and then Super Rugby next year, and then internationals again. So hopefully it's an upward spiral of great rugby.
Do you get a sense that everyone playing recognises, like you say, that pathway, particularly now this Super Rugby franchise competition, which we've got a taste of this year? And have you reviewed that and gone, you know what, this was a great starting point? Not the result, but thinking about, you know, the pathway now for the players as they start getting towards that professional level?
Yeah, it just gives you another level. I think we've needed it for a long time and we've talked about it. Going from NPC to full internationals is tough. Or FPC to full internationals is really tough. So having just that added level at Super Rugby is great.
And how do you actually, so there's going to be a lot more pressure on the players. How do you resource it? How do you make the game a little bit more professional? You're going to have 44 games, you know, you're going into a super tournament. How are we going to make sure it's resourced properly?
Look, it's up to the PUs at an FPC level, and obviously everybody knows PU land's tough. So I'm pretty lucky that Auckland are nice to the FPC and really support us hugely. I know other FPC teams struggle a little bit. I know the NZRU have okayed funding for the Super Rugby to be, I think, semi-professional. So that'll be good for the girls to get a taste of that. And now, obviously, we've got over 55 professional contracts. The girls, 7s and 15s space, so it's a great start.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and not only the 15s World Cup, but over the next kind of 14 months, we've got the Olympic Games. The 7s will also play in the Commonwealth Games and a World Cup and a 15s World Cup. It's a congested season, but what's really exciting for those players, what do you see as the evolution of women's rugby?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how they're going to fit all that in.
I know, right?
In 12 months. I think we were spoilt at the FPC last year because we had all 7s girls in it, and I thought it created a great standard. So I'm hoping that we'll see some 7s girls released who don't make the Olympics into the FPC. I'm hoping you'll see some girls released who want to play World Cup and Super, but that's obviously dependent on timing with Com Games and the World Cup. So the evolution, I think, has got to go more professional, because it's a really tough ask on the girls at the moment to, you know, get to survive on a contract that's not full-time and then train like you're a professional, but you can't. Although Hannah and I did quite easily.
You nailed it, in other words. Piece of cake.
For a few years, but you know, it's tough. It's a tough ask on the girls.
And I mean, from a coaching point of view, how difficult is it for you? I mean, the catchment here in Auckland, some of the talent that you've got, you know, to pick some of those, a limited amount of, you know, women, but then to have them sort of go to counties or up north and that as well. So how difficult has that been from a former player to be able to step back and name some players?
Well, honestly, I've got to say, coaching is unforgiving, and I
we know.
And I miss the days of playing, the uncomplicated days of playing. look, there's a huge amount of talent here, and if you go down to schoolgirl rugby, which is played today, there's some great girls, and some of those girls are playing, obviously, in FPC. We see Sylvia Brunts was just invited to the last 2 Black Fern camps, and she's still at school. You know, so it's exciting time. It is difficult with other franchises very in close proximity to us. It's made even more difficult by the rules where you can be a local player as of 2 July, which is in another 3 weeks. So anybody can transfer. Woohoo!
It makes it tough, right? It makes it tough.
Yeah, it makes it tough. But you know, again, there's some great players around, so we're very excited.
I've got to ask the question. You've come on the show, and I'm assuming that Blues jersey was given to you because we didn't want any bias on this show. But, I mean, the big show on the weekend at Eden Park, I mean, have you got a sense at which way you may like it to go the Blues way? But I want your professional opinion because he's talking underdog.
Well, I think they're definite underdogs.
But the Blues? You didn't say that in the break. You said, well, come on, you cannot be serious.
It's out there, people. It's out there.
You cannot be serious. Look, we're looking forward to... Is that your genuine...
You know, consistency, I think if we can see a first and a second half, then it'll be a great final.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well, but also looking forward to, like I say, 44 games of FBC. Well, I'm sure we'll talk to you through the course of the season and some of the challenges of coaching. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the weekend, JK.
Can't
and
wait,
Mills, you take it. You sit back, relax, and watch. Hannah, we'll be on here in 7 days' time.
Come on, the Highlanders.
Come on, the Highlanders. That's what we're talking about here. It's going to be a fantastic night at Eden Park. And New Zealand Rugby World magazine, it's on the shelves, and we have a year's subscription to give away. Email us at the breakdown to go into the draw. But before we go, very, very sad news today. So Eon Edgar has passed away, aged 76, after a battle with pancreatic cancer. He made a huge difference to sport, education, the arts and health through his generosity, not just in the South, but around New Zealand. He was a top man, and our thoughts are with his family. He will be dearly, dearly missed.
They work a little move and they bring